we will have right here on stage a very interesting dialogue about how mobile-first banks are winning the game. So for this, I'd like to invite on stage Andrius Biceika, Revolut Head of Business Development, in an open discussion moderated by Sia Houchangnia, Seedcamp partner. So once again, thanks to the jury. This is your mic.
Where do we sit?
Wherever you want.
I'll sit here. Perfect.
Let's give them a big round of applause.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. I'm Sia. I'm a partner at Seedcamp. We have the chance to be the first investors in this pretty amazing company called Revolut.
So you're rich now, huh?
Yeah. And we have a long story with Romania. Back in 2008, 2009, we had backed a company called Uberview that some of you might know. More recently, we also backed Emigal with his new company, Ezra. Before that, we had invested in Brainient, his previous business. And we also lucky to be the first investors in the company of Daniel that you've seen this morning, UiPath. So we are Europe's seed fund. Our goal is really to write the first check in European founders that have global ambition. And we have backed over the past 11 years close to 300 companies, obviously Revolut, UiPath, and also TransferWise, and WeFox being some of the most famous ones. So really excited to be here, joined by Andrius.
Yeah, me too.
So Andrius, do you want to maybe tell us a bit more about what is Revolut?
Not really. How many people don't know Revolut? Okay, 5 people. I can speak with you afterwards. I have some cards. I can give you cards if you can at least download the app during the fireside chat. That would be great. But yeah, in general, we could probably to some extent skip that part. You know, as we say, you know, Revolut is just a modern alternative to traditional banking, if you like, right? It has everything what the bank would have, but it has a more convenient way, free of charge, or at least 10 times you know, cheaper than traditional bank, and creating tremendous value for our users.
And so you're head of business development at Revolut, right?
Yes.
What's your day today?
You know, I wake up at 11 a.m., drink coffee, do nothing. Nowadays, the majority of work is hiring, because now the team is 10 people, so at least one person in like key markets, you know, the growth guys, and here is like, you know, we are active in Romania, in let's say in Poland, in Greece, Malta, Cyprus, and other markets, right? And in the Baltics, for example, specifically, almost like 20% of all the citizens in Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, use Revolut. You know, it's like almost like Coca-Cola brand awareness to some extent. And I got this email from the big manufacturing company in Latvia, you know, the neighbor of Lithuania, because they saw all of this activity going on about Revolut, you know, in the Baltics. And these guys wrote, hey, we are like this company, it's really huge manufacturing company. Our senior management wants to have a tour with your, you know, Lithuanian office, you know, to see, you know, how you guys work, you know, to see what the functions are, different functions are doing. I said, I just ignored it, you know, because it's like obviously, you know, stupid. Then they wrote again in 1 week. Then I ignored it again. I said, when can we come to kind of to your, and the third time, then you can come to kind of visit your, you know, offices to see how you arrange all this stuff that you do. And I wrote them back, actually. I said, okay, guys, we have exactly 2 laptops, exactly 1 desk, and 2 chairs. What exactly do you want to see there? You know, so it was really fun. Okay, got you. So it just creates that, you know, it's very lean in that sense. It's only 1 person on the ground. Technically, it could survive without people on the ground. But we found out that it's good to kind of attach at least one kind of local person who is then hustling a lot on that market. That's part of the growth, I think, questions. So users, future users, especially those early adopters, could say, oh yeah, I know, it's that, you know, Irina in Romania, or, you know, Karol in Poland, and so on, attached to that brand. So it kind of creates that, a bit of more trust in that sense.
And so I think you guys have recently announced that you reach 3 million users.
It's more than that, yeah.
Yeah. So how do you make this happen? I mean, I think a lot of early stage investors, when they get fintech companies pitching them, they're like, yeah, you're going to get the early adopters. You will be able to acquire them for low cost.
Yeah.
But as soon as you move beyond the early adopters, the CAC is going to raise. It's going to be impossible to scale. How did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, and to some extent, it's probably truthful, because because we are spread across Europe, I think we are still doing the majority of our you know, growth within early adopters phase, and this is totally fine. This is like, you know, if you come across a fintech who says, oh, my solution is for like everyone right from the start, it's okay. That's very smart. That's going to fail. Banks now can have products across all age groups, across all types of users. We are still like early adopters in many countries, apart of Lithuania, where we now have to target elderly somehow. So it's fine. The key, obviously, and we were lucky to be that pioneers in that sense. It was like this, finally there is someone who actually can eliminate exchange, you know, currency exchange fees. And this was the killer feature. You know, now we have like 10 killer features, you know, when you speak with a card, when you kind of manage your daily financial life through the app. But initially, it's that killer feature, and that killer feature is still like bringing so many users. Once we get them in, we never get them back, you know. So that's killer feature. It went, how to say, like viral. You know, it's impossible not to have Revolut if you travel. It's like it still is. It still is. We spoke with Michal, the clever taxi guy. He said, "Yeah, I'm traveling. Finally, I'm going to use Revolut." I said, "Be careful, because once you start using it, you will just become your main card." So of course, the product, the execution, the user experience. We have this. Whenever we create a feature, or whenever we kind of build something from UX and UI perspective, is we have this in mind. We know that the average attention span of our users will be very, very low, and is very, very low. This is reality. This is, you know, millennials and Generation Z, which are coming into that space of, you know, using the apps. And if they cannot execute something in 2 clicks, it's a shitty app. If it doesn't load in 2 seconds, it's a shitty app. And this is very important to understand, and we are thankful for banks that they still don't understand that. Yeah.
And so, I mean, another question we have usually for early stage fintech founder is, okay, that's great, but how are you going to get those people to trust you with their money? So how did you manage to get that? What do you see in terms of usage? Are people like starting with small amount and then starting to use it more and more?
That's an excellent question. And this is another kind of thing, you know, obviously our ultimate goal is to become like everyday card, everyday, you know, financial hub, if you like. And it's going to happen, you know, but knowing that things don't happen, these things don't happen overnight, right? It's your money. It has to be trusted over time, and people create their banking relationships or financial relationships over dozens of years, right? Their relationship with their traditional bank, if you speak with your parents or grandparents, you say, yeah, I've been banking with this, you know, these guys since, you know, 1824. Exactly. So let's say you travel, you top up 50 euros. It works nicely. You know, the exchange rate that they give is like, wow, 5% better than you know. I'm not going to mention, you know, the bank's name, any banks here, but let's say Banca Transilvania. Sorry, I'm sure others are also putting 5%.
You know one from here.
Danske Bank. Let's use Danske Bank as a benchmark for everything. And then you say, oh, it works nicely. You know, it didn't like, you know, had any problems, any obstacles. Yeah, let's put more. Let's put more. And now we have like unique euro, IBANs, you know, and GBP account numbers, and people are actually transferring salaries into Revolut and trusting it because, yeah, don't worry, man. You know, and when they speak with somebody, you know, don't worry, man. I've been using it, and that reference that you need. You know, you don't need the advertising to tell you that it's safe. You need somebody that you know to tell you that it's safe.
Yeah, I think if I remember the early days, I mean, you know, we were always looking at those stats of like how many times a user would change bank in his life, and it would only happen 2 or 3 times, maybe if he changes location. And what Revolut really got right is that in terms of like the initial friction point, it was much lower. It was okay, use that as your travel card, and then from there it expanded. But as if like just owning the consumer wasn't enough, you guys are now also going strongly with businesses. Do you want maybe to share a bit more about Revolut for business? Because I'm sure there are a few entrepreneurs here who might also be interested in using the business offering.
Exactly, and with businesses is even like more interesting. You know, I was lucky enough. Actually, I launched the business product. You know, on the 7:45 a.m. the 13th of June 2017. We pressed the button, and then 15 minutes later, all, you know, Financial Times and everyone started like flooding the market with the press releases. And obviously, you know, a lot of things crashed, but that's normal. You know, if you are launching something and you are not embarrassed enough, you are launching too late. With business, our founder, Nikolai, he realized early enough, I think at the same time he launched the retail, you know, the human accounts, personal accounts, is that actually all the benefits that people are getting, businesses should not be excluded. Businesses should also get these benefits. Businesses should also not overpay for paying overseas suppliers overseas, right? They should have to get the best exchange rate. They should have to be able to manage their, you know, reconciliations and, you know, or like put some fancy payout solutions. For example, if you're like local Uber and you want to pay your drivers after each trip is delivered, is done, instead of once a week or, you know, twice a month, you can just integrate OpenAPI, which is now the product, and do that. And with that, we have like more than 60,000 businesses, 60,000 businesses signed up, technically without any paid marketing, which is like enormous for the bank. I'm not going to mention the names, but it would really be unbelievable because the bank would happily pay. I'm not sure how much in Romania, but in UK it's easily up to £500 to acquire a business banking user. It's around £50 or up to £100 on a personal user. That's a customer acquisition cost for the bank. And here we basically operate with 0 customer acquisition cost for business. This is just shows that it's something special for those who are still questioning, you know, why is that?
Yeah, and I guess like your personal users are actually your best advocate to like push it to the businesses. Make a lot of sense, and I think we are like trying to go a bit through some of like those like common thoughts investors and even entrepreneurs would have for like fintech companies. I mean, another one obviously is okay, like spending a lot of money to acquire users. You made it clear that that's not the case for Revolut, but how do you actually make money?
Oh, this is a good question. Again, I know we are broadcasting to the world, right? Yeah. But it's not a secret, right? There are quite a few revenue streams, and we are lucky. We've been lucky enough to be, I think, one of the first ones who actually proved that look, we can also tackle the revenue part. It's not only the product part. It's not only like user acquisition part. It's also the revenue part, which I think. Although, you know, some of the founders say, yeah, you know, we'll figure out the revenue later on, but I think deep inside it's really good when you kind of figuring out, you know, not only market product fit, but also like the revenue bit. So our revenues are really simple, and now we are doing, I think we announced that publicly, more than 3 billion euros or whatever whatever, I don't remember the currency, it's probably euros or dollars, 3 billion every month. So, you know, it exchanges our systems every month. And it's increasing like exponentially every month. So one obviously is the interchange fee that we get from Visa and MasterCard, because we are issuer of both Visa and MasterCard. Then it starts, you know, these fancy and added value things like premium accounts. You know, if you're like this violet blue color card is not fancy, you can get a pink one, or, you know, a silver one, and have your ATM limit, free ATM limits increased, you know, priority customer support, etc., etc. For premium, if you want to go one step further, we just launched our metal card, you know, and we are probably the largest metal issuer now in Europe, at least, which is like even more fancier. So, you know, only for like $12.99 or $13.99 a month, you can feel rich. Yes, and then it's you know, if you want to get exposure through Revolut to our cryptocurrencies, we incorporate a small, really small fee in that rate. Travel insurance, device insurance, there's also some commissions there, but if you try to compare to anything local or on European level, it's still going to be 10 times cheaper. Then ATM, some of the guys are going above their free ATM allowance, and there is a fee there, so it's an additional revenue stream. So, you know, we figure out that revenue is like business accounts. There is like a small plan per businesses to get exposure to this interbank exchange rate. So there's this small, and don't forget, you know, there's going to be credit, you know, coming up. Yeah, commission-free trading. With that one, we will figure out how we will make money. You know, so there is quite exciting, and revenue stream we're getting there.
Yeah, there are not many companies like Revolut or UiPath that have been built out of Europe and have this kind of hypergrowth. I think Daniel from UiPath this morning was sharing some of like the core principles and the culture of the company. How would you describe the culture of Revolut? I know Nikolai spent some time also writing down some of like his core values, and those are very important, I guess, for a company that is hiring so much. Yeah. So, what's that culture? How do you define it?
This is excellent question. This is like, culture is everything, right? You all heard this, you know, culture eats strategy for breakfast. I think culture eats strategy for like whenever you just wake up, drink water, and it's already gone. You know, if the culture is wrong. So and all that mentality, to have all that mentality of execution, like amazing execution that Nikolai is set up has set up for the company. It's almost like, not like a miracle. I don't know. I was sounding like a religious organization. So it's so good and it's so rare. And I can imagine that the investors early on, if they see that, it's amazing. We're just picking up a winning lottery ticket. It's just like that. It's a winning lottery ticket. It's like impossible to lose, especially for you guys now. So there are a couple of things. So obviously Nikolai wants, and it's all top down, right? So if you are somewhere in the middle or somewhere in the bottom and you say, oh, I'll be able to change this culture at the start, but it won't happen until the top down is implemented, right? So Nikolai understood, okay, what are the core values that I want to kind of push to grow, you know, and he was on that right from the beginning, execution, growth. And he put this famous culture deck of like 12 slides or so. I'm not going to tell all the things. It's too harsh, some of the things. But I'll tell you a few of them. For example, one of the ones that I really like is we are not a kindergarten football team. We are special forces. And when you have that in mind, and when you kind of adopt it, it just changes everything what you do. Because if you are a kindergarten football team, you are there just to play football, and you sometimes even forget to to score the goal, even to kick to actually score the thing, right? They say, oh man, it's really nice. And we can see that in some of the industries. I'm not going to mention the industries, but for example, banking, right? So you know, they're like kicking the ball. You know, like, hey man, catch the ball. What did we do? What did we execute? And where is the special forces? Think of the SEAL 6, right? The guys who killed Osama bin Laden, right? And you go to that mission. You are only 6. You are elite of the elite. You know, you trust each other so much, and you know that you basically cannot fail. You basically cannot fail. The helicopter crashed, it's fine, we'll get another one. You know, it's just impossible to fail. And this mentality, this attitude is so powerful. There are many, many others. There is like this kind of a given thing that you actually have to work at least 60 hours a week. How can you achieve something tangible? Whereas so many companies around you have so much resources, so much money, and everything, and you all just let's say 100 initially, even 20 people, you know, at this early stage. So you have to put almost double the hours to become 40 without recruiting 20, right? So this is again so powerful. And when you think about that, think of any business, even Romanian companies, right? Well-established companies, traditional industries, let's say. Think of their founders, who are now doing nothing, laying under the palm or like, you know, working 1 hour a week. But in the beginning, I'm sure almost everyone, or just basically everyone, worked day and night, 24/7, to build this business, either a retail chain or a telecom or something like that. So it's inevitable. So once you have these kind of core things there, right from the start, I think this is already like, you can almost make any startup, almost any, with some decent product, not a useless product. I'm not referring to any startup that I saw today. You can really succeed. You can increase your chances significantly.
Yeah, I think one thing that both Revolut and UiPath, despite the fact that they are very different businesses, have in common is that Daniel this morning was sharing how very quickly he seized this opportunity in Japan. He then had this big contract in Japan, and he set up a team there to service that customer. You guys also have been expanding internationally very, very fast. And I guess as head of business development, you've been leading on this effort. And one of your main competitor, let's say, is still only in the UK, and none of the other players are expanding as fast.
Who are they? Do you want to touch on the competitors, because I have a really cool story.
I mean, how do you? I mean, obviously you explained a bit the unique culture, the product, the way you position that differently. But when you look at that fintech landscape, I mean, do you see other fintechs as competitors, or for you it's crushing the incumbents, which are like the old school banks?
Look, Sia, that's a perfect question. I'm sure, and this is saying without any arrogance, etc. That for us, for our digital peers, the Monzos and 26s and many other guys who are developing really nice solutions, there is really no competition, because there's so many users out there. There is abundance of users, especially early adopters. These younger generation, who can switch like that. If there is an excellent solution tailored to their, international lifestyle, etc. And for this, I think we still have 2 minutes, so I'll tell you the story of what is the actual competition, and how we see the competition, if you like. So there was this founder, Reed Hastings, the Netflix founder. You know Netflix, I guess. And he was asked at a similar conference, what is Netflix's main competitor? And everyone in the audience was trying to, everyone thought he will answer HBO, Amazon Video, Spotify, any other content kind of platform. And he said, our main competition is sleep. The more people are sleeping, the less Netflix they are watching. And okay, so this is interesting, right? In the end, what he also said, that in the end, Netflix could end up in pharmaceuticals industry, trying to invent a pill which you take, you feel like you just had 8 hours of quality sleep, but you don't need to sleep, so you can watch Netflix.
It's a very good point.
Yeah. So in our sense, we don't think about like banks or like these like a competition. There is so many users out there. There's so many users. Think strategically. Maybe there are some platforms, and I'm really not gonna tell the names. I'm sure you understand this GAFA and the guys who already have this kind of users, not on fintech front now, but Google's and Facebook's, blah 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 blah, in Asia especially, who can try to make a dent into fintech world and actually kind of solve this whole puzzle, and actually disrupt the disruptors, if you like.
Thanks a lot, Andrius. I know we need to wrap up, but maybe very, very quickly on what comes next for Revolut.
Oh yeah, this is not a secret anymore. So originally, Nikolai wanted to launch one or the other. So he chose Revolut as like exchange, currency exchange, the best currency exchange app to start with. But the second option that he almost like very tempted to launch the first was commission-free trading, investment. Right? Where you could buy Tesla stock or any other stock free of charge, just free of charge. So the time has come, and we are launching that very, very soon. And we think that it's going to be amazing to give this investment trading alternatives to people's hands.
And I think you've been pretty clear that your goal in the next 5 years is to reach
100 million users.
Great.
Just for the start. So, thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.